Roll call.
Matthew Balzerini.
Here.
Sharon Lampel.
Here.
Shane Nielsen.
Here.
David Pombo.
Here.
Michaela Vergara. Here. Pasa Pungchai.
Here.
Approval and/or corrections to the agenda.
There are none.
I move we approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, receiving of public comments. Got a pile of them. Katie Wright, please.
I'll just say, okay. My name is Katie Wright, and I go to Altamont Elementary School, and I play club volleyball. I think that letting the Explosion Club team practice in Mountain House would open up like the sports interest in Mountain House, because the volleyball program in Mountain House really isn't that kind of like noticed. And I feel like letting the Explosion team practice in Mountain House would create more interest in playing sports for young people. And I know of several people who would be interested in playing volleyball and sports, but wouldn't want to make the commute to other cities in order to do so. So having the option of playing volleyball in Mountain House would create more interest and get more young people more active in their lives. That is all.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Brenda Dayton.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for having me here. I'm here in support of Explosion. Tracy is a small town. I think if we can bring volleyball to this town, it can be a huge town. We are letting little towns outside hit number 2 in the country with players that live in our town but have no place to practice. This town needs a place so kids can have a safe place to play. And if we have the place, let's let them play. We have talent right here in our town. Let's stop sending them out, and let's let Explosion have a place to play, and let the kids just put us back on the map here, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, if I could give some background on this. These speakers are coming up, and I know the rest of the board may not know what's going on. Perhaps the organization kind of point contact could come up and give the board some background about, at least about what this is going on, because I'm sure right now it's not making a whole lot of sense.
Who? Sir.
Good evening, President Pombo, school board, Mountain House residents, family, and friends. My name is Omar Rodriguez, and I am the director of Explosion Volleyball Club. Many members of our club are here to ask the Lammersville School District Board for permission to rent and utilize the Mountain House High School's gymnasium simply upon the school's availability. Your facility is so over the top and state of the art that it's proven to all of this past weekend at our tryouts, where almost 100 girls attended. We could potentially hold 6 practices with 6 different teams at the same time. That's a total of providing a space for up to 72 players. Young girls ranging from 11 years of age and 17, for having the place to practice volleyball all at one time. All we are asking for is the use of the gym for 2 hours a night, twice a week, again, at any time it is most convenient and available by the high school. We are not asking for the use to be for free, although it'd be nice. I understand by coming to a couple of committee meetings that the fee schedule is yet to be approved. by the board. At the last meeting, as I came alone, I was denied any further use of the gym until the board would approve the fees. They mentioned that, with that said, due to the fact that the committee only meets a few times a month, then the board meets just once a month, it's clear to me and to everybody else that the gym would sit unused for many hours and many months until this is approved. Since the rate for the hourly use of the gym at the high school is not officially approved, I ask that you please feel free to increase our deposit if you wish, and please charge us whatever difference there might be once the board approves that fee rate. But don't let our girls sit at home and miss out this season, please. In short, we've been around for the last 2 years as a club, and we've practiced at other facilities, mainly in the Jefferson School District. This year, since they closed Jefferson School, they moved to another school. They've taken up all the gyms, and again, the girls and the club of volleyball is like the stepchild.
Thank you. Monica Mariero.
Hi, my name's Monica Mariero. I have 4 children who attend Lammersville School District. My oldest just graduated, and I have 2 that are there currently and 1 who has yet to attend. It was mentioned earlier that having an opportunity to play volleyball is important. And it's not always an option. I mean, there are girls who attempt to play in high school and they're denied because there's only so many spots on a team. Club volleyball gives the girls a second chance. You didn't make it, but out of season, you have a chance. You have a chance to improve your skills. You have a chance to be part of a team. And that's what Explosion has given to us. And I'm really grateful to have that. And I'm in full support. They're a good team. They're clean. Good sportsmanship on and off the court. Definitely an asset to our community. That's it. Nervous. Thank you.
For the board, as the chair of the Facility Use Committee, Trustee Nielsen and I sit on the committee, and I just want to make clear that we didn't deny the organization. We're not anti-volleyball, anything like that. We just, unfortunately, our timeline doesn't match your organization's. We've been working on this diligently. We're trying to gain community input and support. We're trying to create a fair and equitable process so that we have fees that are comparable to other districts our size, to make sure that we have a process that's fair, that everyone that wants to use a facility has the ability to. And unfortunately, it's just taking a lot more time than we had hoped. I gave the analogy, I believe it was at our last meeting, that it's this whole process has been like an onion. As soon as we think that we've decided one thing, all of a sudden these other issues start coming up that we never even thought about. So it's not that we're anti-volleyball. It's not that we're anti this organization. It's just that our timelines, unfortunately, don't meet. Now, I understand you have a bunch of cards. A lot of people are going to come up, and I'm guessing everyone's going to kind of say the same thing. I just want to be clear. We're not against the organization. We're not against volleyball. It's just a process issue. And the committee is meeting again on November 19th. That's our next committee meeting. We're hoping to have all of the fee structure after that meeting approved to go to the full board, and we'll vote in December. Now, unfortunately, that's the fastest we can do it, because this is not an agendized item. There's no action to be taken by the board on this item. So that's the fastest that we can make this happen. So after those fees are approved, you can apply just like anyone else can. And I also want to remind you that we have other facilities that you can sign up to use. We have all the K-8 schools. We have a policy and a fee structure in place for that. those facilities can be used at this time. So I just want to make sure that the board has that understanding and knows the background going into this, that, again, has nothing to do with the organization, has nothing to do with the sport. It's just a matter that we're trying to make sure that we have a good process.
Mr. President, if I could add one little bit to this, it's not about volleyball. We've had other people apply to use the high school facilities that you were also turned down for, and they were turned down because we're not ready to do it. This isn't about telling this organization no. We've told all the organizations no because we don't have a policy yet. And while that's unfortunate for this group and for those other groups that have been told no, we can't just open up the facilities for any use for any reason whatsoever. We have to have a process in place. And until we do, we have to follow the existing one, which is no one's gotten to use it. And I'm sorry that that hurts you, and I'm sorry that that could cause problems for you, but it's caused problems for other organizations as well. And I would say, if I were one of those organizations and we were to grant you an exception, I would be in front of this board at the very next meeting asking, why not us as well? So I just wanted to add that little bit.
I would like to explain something. These speaker cards give each person the right to come up and speak for 3 minutes, but the law precludes us from having a conversation with anyone from the podium or anything else. It's not an agendized item. I have 9 more speaker cards, which is half an hour or more of speakers. If you would do me the favor of, if anyone who did turn in a speaker card has something additional to add to what's already been said, please come forward. Otherwise, we understand that everybody, virtually everybody here, is in favor of explosion volleyball, and we will take that under consideration. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Manu Seeley, and like everyone else here, we are here to support Explosion and request to use your facility. In this day and age, we constantly hear in the news, there's not enough money for the schools, there's not enough money for teachers. So, here you have an organization that's willing to pay you some money that you can fund other programs with, and they're willing to accept your, put a deposit down, and once you do determine your fee schedule, then, you can make the adjustments. But they're already willing to pay you based on that. So why would you turn down good money for, that can be applied to other, critical areas? I think, every night you hear, there's not enough money for the schools. And so I would, ask that you keep that under consideration, and appreciate your time.
Thank you. I'm going to read the names on the speaker cards, and if I read your name and you have something to add, please come forward. Stephanie Crawford? I'm good. I wanted to support. Thank you. Vicki Hudis? Also supported. Chris Wright?
I would like to add something additional.
Come forward, please.
Hello, my name is Chris Wright. I'm also a resident of Mountain House. I have 3 children in the Lammersville School District, 2 of which are also in the Explosion Volleyball Club. I want to try to keep my remarks brief to what items may be incremental arguments. Understand that you feel that your hands are tied due to process. I would ask that you examine your current process and options for circumventing that process, perhaps by providing a provisional approval, subject to revisiting once the fee schedule is approved in December or at a later date, especially as there will not be any financial liability to the district because of the offer that Omar has made to make a deposit or to increase the size of that deposit. Regarding the concern, very valid concern raised, to make sure that we treat organizations fairly, I want to make sure that it is obvious, I think, that the organization is supported not just by a large group within the Explosion Volleyball Club, but by a large portion of Mountain House community that are several individuals that are here and those that are not able to join tonight. So we're here. We're making the extra effort, and I think that should also be taken into consideration when weighed against the other folks that you have been having this conversation with. I'm also getting information that which I cannot provide. I don't have any details on, but there seems to be question on whether it has been true in all cases that no other organizations have been able to use the Mountain House High School facilities or other Lammersville School District facilities where the fee schedule has not been approved. I don't have any details on that, but if you're able to get details and make sure that there's no exceptions being made or that we get the same opportunity that others did, I'd appreciate you investigating that. That is all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, and just to clarify that, the only organization that's had the ability to use the inside facilities is Explosion. We did make an exception for the tryouts. And then the field, we did make an exception for the field also, but that's all that we've heard from, or that we provide the opportunity to use it, so.
Karina Rodriguez?
Hello, I am Karina Rodriguez, and I am currently a student at Tracy High. I'm a freshman, and I currently hold the position as freshman class president. And furthermore, and more importantly, I think I'm a player for Explosion Volleyball Club. And I'm just here also in support, but also to add to the comments made by the members of the board. I understand that the processes and the timelines don't meet up, but even when you do have the opportunity to, approve all of the facility fees and everything, I ask that you still keep Explosion under consideration during that time, and that and that, as you can see with the tryouts, we are a good organization, and we will respect your facilities with the most respect that we have, and that's a lot. So yes, please keep Explosion under consideration, and we would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not sure if I'm going to butcher this name or not, but Manu Seal? Okay, thank you. Carissa Common? Cameron?
Okay. So my name is Carissa. I actually go to Lathrop High School, but that's kind of beside the point because I'm here to play volleyball. Well, not right now, but yeah. Let's put it besides the point that it's volleyball. Yeah, it's a sport, but why are we here? You guys, this is the school board. You guys should be keeping, it's not just about volleyball. It shouldn't just be about volleyball, so I'm not gonna focus on volleyball. It's about students in a whole and the community. The whole point of schools and stuff like that is you guys are always trying to keep people off the streets, am I right? Kind of, you guys put all these programs and stuff out there, school programs and extracurricular programs, and that's pretty much what this is. Something to keep kids out of the streets, something to keep them busy, to keep their grades up, to keep them focused on things more important than drugs and violence or whatever. And I mean, maybe we're girls and the girls' violence and drug rates aren't that high, but still, it's still something, right? So why, as a school board, I feel like you guys should be putting more emphasis and more time on this, because as Omar said, it's 72 girls you guys could be keeping busy on a Tuesday and Thursday night. 72 girls you could be keeping away from those drug programs and those violence, but instead you guys are pushing it back because you have more important stuff. I'm not saying you guys don't have more important stuff, because you probably do, but you guys aren't, I feel like you're not putting enough time towards it. I don't know, I'm kind of shaking, so I'm just gonna walk away.
Thank you. Leilani Aplana? Thank you. Rosalinda Rodriguez?
I'm also with Explosion. I'm the head coach of all the teams for our organization. Everything was pretty much touched on point, and we appreciate your comments and your clarification as to how our timelines are not matching, and we totally do understand that you are supportive and are not saying no to Explosion. So thank you for that. I'm going to touch a little bit on what Carissa had said. If for whatever reason you can just keep us in your minds and try to expedite just slightly, simply because we do have a season to begin, and I would hate to prolong it and just have these girls not play. So a little bit about what Carissa has mentioned, but I do this for the girls. I've been coaching. I'm Tracy High coach now. I've been coaching for the last 6, 7 years. And it's a passion that I have. And it is a little frustrating the last few years for club that, facilities is always an issue. So I would greatly appreciate the quickest response you have for us would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
You. Rachel Dayton. Thank you. One more speaker, Shabana Kaiser.
Good evening, dear respected board members. My name is Shabana Kaiser. I've been a dedicated volunteer at Wicklund Elementary for the past 6 years and a Mountain House resident for the past 11 years. I was employed by the Lammersville Unified School District September of 2013 and wrongfully terminated. It has taken me a lot of confidence, a lot of courage for me to bring forth the facts of the incident that I went through when I was employed by Lammersville Unified School District and would like to address the matter in front of the board. I was employed last year as a substitute aide and was subjected to very unprofessional behavior and dictum by a senior staff member at the district when I inquired about the process of attaining job assignments at the district. I was falsely accused of harassment and was dismissed from my position as a substitute. I believe no individual should be subjected to this type of behavior or accusations. On the day of the incident, I emailed the superintendent but never received a response back from him. I believe that I have not done anything wrong or against district protocol. I do not believe that asking for clarity on how a system works or how to gain a potential assignment is wrong. Various excuses were given to me when I was asked for what the protocol was to attain job assignments. Some of the guidelines that I was given were assignments are based on seniority. Assignments are based by a computer-generated system. You have to provide staff members your substitute ID to get referrals on the assignment. The assignments are given by the assistant superintendent. She gets to decide who gets the assignments. Are these fair employment practices by the district? Why is there preference given to one employee over another? Does this give the pool of substitutes an equal opportunity for assignments? Why was I subjected to this kind of behavior? Why is it wrong to ask for clarification on how the system works for a new employee? I believe I was subjected to unfair and unequal employment practices by the staff and would like to have my case heard out in detail. I voiced this concern today as I do not feel that I or any individual in the future should be subjected to this kind of behavior by any staff member. There are many individuals who have the heart, the dedication, the solidarity, and the skill sets to work at this district. Over the years of living in Mountain House, I have seen the district grow, and I have also seen some very hardworking, dedicated staff members leave for various reasons. I reach out to all the esteemed members of the board today to evaluate my case and look into the ordeal that I went through. I have faith that the board will analyze the details I am submitting and provide a fair and unbiased decision on my behalf. I'm leaving today with you a package for you to review. Thank you.
Thank you.
Who can I give this to?
Item 6, consent items for consideration.
I move we approve the consent items.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 7, district administrative reports.
Before I go into the superintendent's report, I did want to offer to the Explosion folks, if you wanted to bid us adieu and enjoy your evening, we're going to be talking about a concurrent enrollment program with Delta, and you're welcome to stay here and finish up our board meeting. But if you were looking for an opportunity to step out, this would be the time.
Mr. President, if I can move my facilities report up till now first, if you don't mind, and then that way they might want to hear that before they leave.
And I'm sorry, but we can't, everyone was given a chance to speak, so we can't hear anymore at this time, but.
Okay, so the committee did meet on October 22nd. We made a lot of progress. It was another 2.5+ hour meeting. And since then, I've met with Alvina. We're going to have a lot of options for the committee to look at on our next meeting, which is November 19th. So at that point, we're very confident we will be able to approve a fee structure and information, a process for using high school facilities, which will be put on the agenda for the next full board meeting, which is December 10th. If the board approves that on December 10th, we'll start accepting reservations on the 11th. So that's the process, and unfortunately, it can't be deviated from. I just want to let you know that's what you can expect. And that's my report.
What time is the meeting on the 19th?
6:30.
Thank you.
Thank you. And as the superintendent said, if anyone would like to leave at this time, you're welcome to leave. Otherwise, we will continue on with the superintendent's report. Thank you all for coming.
Boy, oh boy, you sure know how to clear out a room.
Indeed.
Hi, Pasha. I didn't get a chance to say hi. It is for us. Well, they don't.
Okay, so about a month ago, I presented to the board what we're calling the LUSD data tracker. And it was the beginning of a process of identifying the elements in our program where we could measure how we were doing and being successful through benchmarks tied to our strategic plan, identifying areas in terms of where our high school is going to go, how kids are doing on the California High School Exit Exam, and other various standardized measures. But in the light blue horizontal line there towards the top, one of the things that we put in there that we wanted to work on was developing a dual enrollment program. It was suggested that evening that I speak with a woman who I had not met yet named Dr. Jessie Roderick, Garza Roderick. And so I called her the next day and we met, and a big idea very quickly turned into an excellent opportunity for both Delta's campus and our school program to form a partnership. And if you haven't met Jessie yet, she's got a lot of energy, and she's a yes person. And it's not a yes person in the negative sense, but a yes person of let's get to a yes and let's make things happen for kids. So I'd like to invite her to come up to the podium right now and talk a little bit about our conversations, because we've gone from a big idea to working on a plan. So in essence, I went and met with her. Ben and I went and met with her a week and a half later, and then Ben and I went and met with her and the woman who heads the Delta Middle College, I guess it's Lodi Middle College Academy, and who's also part of the Middle College State Program, and really went from big ideas to nuts and bolts. But what Dr. Garza Roderick and I spoke about, I want to share a little bit with the board and the community. So it is possible, beginning next spring, this spring, I mean, that we can have students from Mountain House High School who choose to take a class at Delta College. It's possible. It would be a first step towards what we're really looking at is a robust program in the following school year, which would be 15-16. So that would require that students apply. They'd have to take a placement test. And in this first inaugural look, this would be on the parents to pay for. But kids who are qualified could be fit into their program. But the really exciting part of the program is really about how do we institutionalize and systematize the two institutions and what we want to accomplish. So in our first conversation, the biggest of the big ideas is Mountain House Middle College Academy, which is a pathway, college and career-oriented, in which Mountain House High School students can earn their high school diploma and an AA degree at the same time. The second course would be kids that were interested in taking college classes that qualified and it worked for them, but not necessarily on the really intense pathway path. That they could take a class here and there, semester to semester, and save mom and dad some money and earn college credits. And then the other area that we talked about is some of their vocational education classes being another vehicle to tie to the career part of our career pathway, and to A, take advantage of a resource that's half a mile away, and B, expand what we offer at our high school and really take it to what we're talking about, which is our kids will be college and career ready. So I asked Dr. Garza-Roderick to come and talk a little bit about her vision for Delta, a little bit about our big ideas and her perspective as the dean over there, and answer any of your questions.
Thank you, Kirk. Now that you stole my thunder, basically pretty much said everything. Good evening. I'm Dr. Jessie Garza-Roderick. I am the founding dean for the Mountain House campus, and one day we will change the name of the campus. At least it's there. It's 126 acres. We have about 5,000 students. We have state-of-the-art facilities, although they are temporary facilities. I guess the most critical aspect of what we're trying to do with this partnership is bring opportunities to your students that aren't there now. When we met with Sherry, who's the principal of Lodi Middle College, I said to her, you've been in place, what, 8 years? She says, no, 14. Well, in those 14 years, they've sent a tremendous number of students to Yale, Harvard, et cetera. And on average, no student from middle college graduates with less than 30 Delta College students. That's 260 students when you have freshmen through seniors. Not only that, the majority, I would say, I think she said 90% of their students do transfer to college. They are college ready. The other aspect is that of the 20 students that graduate with a 4.0 from San Joaquin Delta College at commencement every year, she has at least, of those 20, 4 of her students are straight A students. So it just gives you kind of perspective of if you raise the standard, they will meet it. And it's the exciting part that I was talking to Kirk about is that we're so close to each other. And I was waiting for him to have that conversation, and Ben, because I knew you were building a new high school. I knew that there was a lot of stuff going on, and I knew this was going to happen. It's been a long time coming. I've been watching as you've progressed. It was a long time coming for the college to get to where it's at, but nonetheless, we're there. We're not going anywhere. Now, where do we go from here? We will be assessing the first students to start spring. And by the way, we do have some of your students already in place taking classes with us. The next step, he likes to call it an academy. I've been kind of calling it middle college high school, Mountain House Middle College High School, but that's okay. The other aspect is to try to get this thing up and running by fall. And patience is not one of my virtues, as you can tell. I'm really excited. We are going to be going to a conference in January that will just have middle college folks trying to form middle colleges or early college. Dual enrollment, it's known by a multitude of names. I think what Kirk and I talked about and Ben was that this is going to be a different model because the kids are going to be able to walk back and forth. We're going to be able to have educational plans for them from the very beginning, freshman through senior, and I believe that by the 4th year, and we were envisioning where the kids were going to go their 4th year. I know Ivy League schools for sure, because the success rate of my students here in Mountain House is much higher than the San Joaquin Delta College campus of my 5,000 students. The average age is about 19. I know I'm going all over the board because my mind is kind of excited, but we will get this puppy up and running by fall, I assure you. And that's all I have. Any questions?
I do have a quick question, not necessarily about this program, but it could eventually tie into the program. Is Delta planning any bachelor's degrees under that new law that allows it?
We're applying for them.
Thunderstorm right there, my exact.
And by the way, I did run, by the way, just to add a little caveat, I did run university programs for 25 years, and I did build a couple of CSU off-campus centers. So we are putting an application in for a 4-year degree program.
Are you at liberty to tell us which programs they are?
It'll probably be in the sciences. Our themes for this particular campus here, Mountain House, is math, science, and technology. We have all the prerequisite courses for nursing. The majority of our faculty are from Lawrence Livermore Lab, PhDs. We do have the chair of the physics department from CSU Stanislaus teaching for us, and many UOP professors in engineering, because we just kicked off engineering this fall.
Great, thank you. See, we just need that road opened.
That's the only obstacle.
And it's not directly related to this program as well, but it is part of what has been a prior program. I was just curious if it still existed, where there was the scholarship, I forget what it was called now, my oldest daughter who graduated.
Passport to college?
Passport to college, yes, whether that program still exists and is being offered to our
It's
students.
in place. They received the first students this fall.
And my daughter's in the program
Right.
at Delta right now.
Right, and it was a pilot program.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but there are, we haven't worked out the nuts and bolts. Yes, the first go-around is going to be on the parents, but Lora Middle College, the students do not pay tuition, and they've applied for a grant that covers most of the books. Parents only pay for $250. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yay.
Our second presentation, I think, is on equal excitement because it's we've had the ability to take an existing program, our Science Olympiad, and we have a new member to our Lammersville Unified team. But I'm going to turn it over the podium mic to Mr. Ryan Gonzalez, who's going to introduce this piece of our program. But there's some exciting things happening with our Science Olympiad program as well.
Good evening, Board President Pombo, members of the board, Dr. Nicholas, and members of the community. My name is Ryan Gonzalez. I'm the principal of Wicklund Elementary School. We come to you this evening to share with you an exciting opportunity that we have here, not only at Wicklund, but within the Lammersville Unified School District, Science Olympiad. So I'm here tonight to share with you a few aspects of our program, as well as have Drew Kieran, our new science teacher and Science Olympiad guru, share with you his vision of Science Olympiad, not only for our site at Wicklund, but for the district as a whole, and how that plays into STEM-based opportunities for scholars at our school sites, at the high school, and then I can even see opportunities with Delta College and the pathways leading there as well. So I'd like to introduce to you, I almost called you Dr. Drew Kieran. That sounds pretty good, huh? Drew Kieran, he is our new member of our Lammersville team and our Wicklund family. Drew comes to us with 33 years of experience as a science teacher, 31 of those in the state of Ohio, where he's been teaching science, but also working with Science Olympiad for the last 27 years. Of those 27 years, he's gone to the national championships 12 times and has won them 6. We were blessed to be able to hire him and bring a level of expertise for our scholars in Science Olympiad that he has already started. We'd like to share that with you this evening. As part of it also is going to be a discussion about an overnight trip to Los Angeles for one of the invitationals down there to prepare our scholars for additional tournaments. So I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Kieran, and he'll present to you the vision for Science Olympiad, not only at Wicklund, but across our district.
Thank you for having me here tonight. Science Olympiad's a really exciting program. I think the first 3 years that I kept getting the mailings in Ohio, I put them aside because I was working on my master's degree. I didn't have time, have babies at home, and had to work on my master's degree. And I think that's where I could kick myself in the butt, because once I got started coaching Science Olympiad, I got hooked. I think of Science Olympiad like the academic sport. And the first year I did this, we went to a regional tournament, missed going to states by 5 points. And after that, I developed a program at my previous employer where we set up a schedule of invitationals, and I'm going to show you some slides now so I don't run out of time. Just to take a look at the makeup of Lammersville Science Olympiad, we have Division A teams in Altamont, Bethany, Quest, and Wicklund, and also have Division B teams, same schools. Wicklund has 2 teams. I think all the rest of the schools have 1 at Division B. And then brand new this year is Mountain House High School has a team. And so that's the structure we're looking at. And what we're hoping is that the Division A feeds into Division B into Division C, so that eventually we'll be a powerhouse in California, making those schools up in Sacramento very jealous of us, because right now they're the powerhouse in Northern California. Just take a look. I'm going to show you some of the events this year. So let me get them all listed up here. These are some of the events. As you see there, they cover all different areas. There's science, chemistry, physics, biology, and technology. And there's like 23 events at Division B and Division C. And I think there's 24 at Division A. So you can see a wide range of stuff. We at Wicklund have been meeting for about 7 to 8 weeks now. Got a lot of parent involvement. We have 35 students. Didn't have any cuts. I'm used to, in my old team, having 100 students try out and then have to whittle down to 35. This year I didn't have to go through the tryout process, which is kind of nice. Take a look at the schedule that I'm trying to put together for the Wicklund team. And once we get this established, hopefully we get everything set up for the other schools in years to come. We start off at the tournament up in Sacramento. The first 2 are in Sacramento. Churchill was the runners-up last year in Division B. Mira Loma was a Division C school. They're hosting a Division B and C tournament. They were 4th in the nation last year at Division C. And the Muscatel one is the one I want to try to go to this year, if I get your guys' permission to do that. We would have the parents drive the children. They would pay for the lodging and all the meals themselves. Okay, so it's no expense to the club, no expense to the school district. And then also what I want to point out, February 7th, we're hosting our own tournament here. We've got 2 schools bringing 2 teams each from Los Angeles area. And we have one from a town called, I'm not from California, Yucatan or something up in the northern border of California, Ukiah. And they're bringing a team, so I'm sorry. I know Cleveland, Cincinnati, Columbus, I'm sorry. But anyhow, we have about 23 teams. I'm going to stop registration at about 32 teams. So we'd have between 500 and 650 students on our Wicklund campus during that day, and I would invite all you guys to come and hand out medals and trophies if you have that day free, so mark it on your calendar. Our regionals is at the University of the Pacific over in Stockton, and then states is my goal to get Wicklund there this year, which is at Turlock, just down the street. So other than Los Angeles, we have no overnight stays. I'm used to going at my old school 8 weekends in a row with tournaments, because there's a lot of them in Ohio, and of those, 5 of them I think were overnighters, so I'm pretty used to doing overnighters with students. And then one of our goals, maybe this year, if we can knock off Churchill, we could go to the Nationals, and this year it's at the University of Nebraska. The national tournament goes off at different locations depending on which campuses want to support the tournament. Now revenues, this is what we're looking at. Wickland's raised so far. We have $3,500 coming in from Sandia, $3,500 from probably between $3,000 and $3,500 with tournament registrations. And then we're getting family donations of about $3,500. And where does this money go to? Startup equipment, registration with the state, the Churchill tournament, Miraloma tournament, Muscatel tournament, our team t-shirts, and awards for the tournament. Okay. And why do we want Science Olympiad in Lammersville? One, it provides opportunity. Good environment for the students. Keep the people out of the drugs, right? Okay. that was a good lead into that one. Help students focus on their grades. I think when they find out that it's a privilege of being a Science Olympiad team, not a right, they start working on their grades because they want to make sure they have the opportunity to do that. They shape students' futures. If you're talking about Yale, Harvard, I've got a set of students that are brother and sister. They're both at MIT right now. They were on the Science Olympiad team. I've got them in Yale, Harvard, Princeton, Cornell, Columbia, all those teams. And I think their interest in science came from Science Olympiad. Good for the science, for the student's resume, and also it establishes a tradition at Lammersville. And there's no better place to be on a Thursday night than room 316 at Wicklund. Okay, fun time. I also have to tell you that Science Olympiad, because of that, my own 3 children are all chemical engineers now. And I don't think they ever thought about going into science, even though their father's a science teacher, until they experienced Science Olympiad and made a world of difference. And I'm done. Okay, took too long probably. I didn't get a beep up here. Does anybody have any questions for me? It's not like a science fair. President Obama thinks that Science Olympiad is a science fair. He's wrong, okay? You know, been to the White House with him, and everything is like a science fair. But Science Olympiad, it's really interactive. You don't stand by your project. You're actually right there doing it, taking a test, flying an airplane, shooting bottle rockets up at the trees. A lot of fun.
I have a quick question
Sure.
about the process for Olympiads, because apparently some of them lead to being invited to the nationals, or
Okay,
how does all of that work?
The invitationals, like the first 4 tournaments I have, they're kind of like practices.
Okay.
You know, you give trophies and medals. Kids like a lot of bling around
Pick
their
up
neck.
your own, like your
Yeah,
the
like
Wicklund
what we
one,
do,
and
yeah.
it's okay.
I mean, probably the one I had back in Ohio is in its 28th year.
Mhm.
And a lot of the ones that are around the country came off the idea of that one in Ohio. And then the regional is what we pay to register. That's our first step in the process going to nationals. So you practice, you go to regionals. If you finish in the top 4 at regionals, you go on to state. And because California's such a large state, they send one out of Southern California. If you're state champ in Southern California, you go to nationals. If you're a state champ in Northern California, you go to nationals.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
I don't have a question, but I just have a statement. I just want to say thank you. This is something that the community has been begging for. I know Dr. Gill has been running with it, and I appreciate that. And now I want to make sure that, that you get acknowledged for, and I appreciate you, embracing it, taking it on, and I'm sure your enthusiasm will carry in the teams.
I just hope I could make it state for you guys.
Please make sure that we get the dates. I want to definitely try and make it out there.
Absolutely.
I just want to.
Coming from Ohio, welcome to weather paradise from another transplant.
Did you see that one? Did you see that one picture with the snow on?
Yeah, I did. I don't miss
They
it.
don't have that here unless you have to go up. You have to go up the mountains for that. But yeah, I came here for my grandchildren. That's why we're in California.
Well, snow is something you visit anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, I have a 90-year-old mother back in Ohio. I got to go back for Thanksgiving and for Christmas, so I'll see it then. And I left a daughter back there too.
I just want to add to what Matt said, and if I could add to it at a personal note, my daughter, who graduated from Wicklund a few years ago, she participated in what was the academic pentathlon, but we never really had the depth in the Science Olympiad. And the entire time in school, she was trying to figure out what she wanted to do, and it was finally after attending a real science class and a real science competition that she decided to switch from being a veterinarian to being a biochemical engineer. And if this had been there, I truly believe she would have been on that path a long time ago. She got into the science classes at the high school and the junior college and loves them. And every opportunity like this we can give to students to provide them science, art, technology, engineering, those kinds of classes that are outside the norm of what we think kids want to do. You don't know what a kid wants to do until you expose them to it. And this is the best opportunity that I think we can give, and I applaud you for it. And I applaud you for being a volleyball coach, too.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Enrollment report?
Oh, I am happy to announce our enrollment is 3,475 students.
Governing board reports.
Well, I attended the Cuesta Carnival and Trunk or Treat last week, and it was a great event. It was really exciting to see the groundswell of parent support that's building now that the students of Cuesta are truly Cuesta students. I think it's going to make a big difference, and just want to thank those existing board members or continuing board members and the new ones who've stepped up at the foundation to help out with that big project. It's a big carnival. It takes a lot of time to prepare, and a lot of these parents just came on board when school started, so that's a really Herculean effort. I also wanted to just put out there to the board that I would like to see us do some kind of a district-wide awareness campaign for all of those parties affected by the facilities handbook as we go forward. And I'm not thinking about the community at large, but those groups that support our students that we have an ongoing relationship with that will be directly affected by the changes in policy. That hasn't happened as far as I know, and I think it's causing some problems along the way that we don't need to have. I would like to see, typically when a new law or a big change like that comes into effect, you do one of two things. You do an awareness campaign before it takes effect so that everybody knows, or you institute a grace period after it goes into effect to allow for people to adjust and find out what the changes are. And I think that we need to do one of those two things so that we aren't having problems or creating problems for the parents and groups that are trying to help our students out.
I attended the Lammersville Harvest Festival and had a grand old time sitting in the dunk tank. And I'm not happy that two people who volunteered for the dunk tank didn't get to sit in it because it broke. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't.
Sometimes it pays to have connections.
Yeah. I didn't think any of the kids would come up to the dunk tank while I was there. They don't know me, but they didn't care. They were just dunking an adult. They were having a blast. So it was a wonderful carnival. The kids were having a great time. I think the adults were having just as good a time. And I totally enjoyed getting dunked with my phone in my pocket. Yeah, there was the stupid event of the day. So I had to get a new phone. Oh, darn. So. Oh, and the dinner, the CSBA dinner in Stockton last week that, they timed it so well. First of all, Tom Torlickson was our keynote speaker, and I got to give him a lot of credit. He never mentioned his campaign. He was there to honor Mick Fonts, who's our county superintendent who is retiring. They knew we were watching our phones because it was the night of Game 7. And they ended the event just in time for us to run downstairs. Nobody ran faster than our superintendent down to the bar. So we could see the bottom of the ninth and enjoy it. Sorry for cutting you off.
Doing the math, I can't remember if we had a meeting since then or not, but I attended the Great Shake at Altamont and at the high school. And no, I don't think we've had a meeting since then, but good stuff. It was great to see, and as a member of the safety committee, we're going to try and ramp it up for next year and try and maybe throw a little some zingers in there and kind of outside the box and let them try and see how they react. So good to see, and a lot of work to still be done.
I also attended the Lammersville Harvest Carnival. I was stuck behind a table selling concessions, so I didn't get to even...
You were in a cushioned chair, and I was in the dunk tank.
Yes, but the part that I was getting at is the fact that I didn't get a chance to throw any balls at the dunk tank while you were in it. But it was a successful event, and I thank those on the board who were able to attend. Also, I would like to take this time to thank Ms. Vergara, our trustee, who has given 4.5 years of dedicated service to this board, and we appreciate and will miss you. Certainly.
Well, I just wanted to thank the board for their dedication and hard work and focus on students in the community. I think we've worked diligently to build something really sustainable and ready for growth. We've seen a lot of changes, and I think we're ready for everything that comes next. So thank you very much. It's been my honor.
Moving on to item 10, action items. Consider approval of second reading and adoption of the updated BPAR 3460 financial reports and accountability.
This is the second reading. We brought the first forward. It's a CSBA recommended changes to this particular item.
If I may, Mr. President, on page 23, in the audit section, I think there's a word missing after the second comma, like an and or something. If I can find it now, I wrote these notes. In the audit section down here. This is way too small. The district and has received a negative certification. I think it's probably just the typo and what this is cut and pasted from. So I think the word and is missing in that paragraph, but it does not change the context of what's there. And line 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, lack of going concern. Is it supposed to be growing? Or I don't know what that's supposed to say.
It's actually a legalese version of.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Going concern is, it's an ongoing concern.
Okay, thank you. That's why I said I didn't know what it meant.
It's a legalese phrase.
That's why we have you here. Thank you.
I don't know if it means growing, because in the context of the sentence, I haven't read the sentence, but in light of a going concern, ongoing.
And I did want to point out, you had asked the question about the number of years audit.
Mhm.
The bottom of that.
I saw it, yeah. Mhm.
For 6 previous fiscal years.
Yeah, I saw it when I read it this time. Thank you. Yeah. So it was just those two things. So I guess going is correct, but I think the other one needs the word and.
I move that we approve the second reading and adoption of updated BPAR 3460 financial reports and accountability as amended.
And I will second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, consider approval of new 2014-2015 intra-district transfers.
This is our update of those transfers.
I move we approve the new 2014-15 intra-district transfers.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item C, consider approval of new foundation for Mountain House High School, fundraisers for Mountain House High School.
It's like, wait a minute, I don't remember reading that.
That would be bad. That would be bad.
So these are the latest list.
So I have a request, and it will not hinder us from approving this. When we get additional fundraisers that come, when it comes to the board, can we get the full list for that school? So we can see what's
Please.
going on for the whole year and don't have to go back to what we've already approved. Because I don't keep the papers, I do everything online. And that, I don't know about other board members, but that would help me to look at the whole
Absolutely.
school.
I agree. That would be
So let me
wonderful.
understand that. So not just the ones for approval, but the entire list generated, and then the latest ones at the bottom.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Because that's kind of how we do inter and intra-district transfers,
Exactly.
right? If we could get
Yeah.
it something like that, because it would help us to see that we're not, overburdening and overtaxing and getting into a position of conflicting with a bunch of other fundraisers too.
And I also have a question about duplicating fundraisers by different groups. Does having 2 different Jamba Juice fundraisers dilute the interest in buying Jamba Juices? No? They want Jamba Juice whenever. Okay, the
Yes.
student said yes.
If we
I
could
stand
open one on
corrected.
campus and if they could get it every day, they would.
Okay.
It's really popular.
It is.
Like, yeah, my friends are all like, "You want to grab a Jamba Juice after school?"
It's wonderful.
Okay,
Seriously.
thank you. That's why I asked the
Should
question.
open one on campus. It would be easier.
I do
should.
have a question about the whole process. So I know there was some confusion or lack of clarity amongst the teachers trying to coordinate all of the fundraisers. What is our process? How often are we allowing for or asking for those updates? Because I think we started with kind of like a once-a-year idea, and then we went to maybe twice a year, and now we're doing it more. So what is our?
I think that was I think we're in a state of transition, because I think when I got here a year or so ago, it was put them all out there once. And then it just became the fact that no one could amend it. And then that was too rigid a way of looking at it. So I think since in the last 2 months, since we've kind of adjusted and the high school's coming forward, we don't have a current practice that I could say we're following it this way. I think the one time a year, bring it forward at the beginning, originally came from, it was scattered, so people were trying to, here's the rule, follow the rule. But now the rule isn't working because all these opportunities are coming up. So I would say the best I can do is come back and say, going forward, there's going to be a deadline for the year's thought of list and then a couple of update opportunities so that it can be, people can add things or subtract things. I think that's what we ran into at just, 2 months ago, where we had to come back and ask them to bring a more accurate list in a couple of school sites.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we need to have, well, first off, we need to have something in writing. So the organizations, the schools, everyone knows what to expect. And I think we need to look at what's feasible and what's doable.
While we're on the topic of fundraisers too, I do think we need to have a more broad discussion and review of fundraisers, because I happen to know of some parents who have asked specifically from organizations in the school districts, what did we raise, where did it go, and they have not received answers from certain foundations. So I also know this body has asked that question, and I don't believe it's been answered to this body's satisfaction either. So aside from the approval of these fundraisers, I do believe we need to have a more in-depth conversation about this to look at when these funds are coming in, where are they going, and what are we getting? What are we raising? How much did we receive? Because parents are asking, and I think it's a fair question, and I think they deserve to know. I think we deserve to know.
So Dr. Gill's working for, I believe, the December 10th meeting to bring forward, focused on the hard sells, but also what are people actually raising? And then in terms of the foundations and the oversight of the money coming in, we're setting up a study session in January to review all of that.
Okay, and I'm glad to hear that we are loosening up our approval process a little bit. I think we should have guidelines as to X amount of time in advance of the fundraiser, but I would be very hesitant to say, you can only do it, you can only submit a list of fundraisers twice a year or 3 times a year. Having been a principal, stuff comes up. You all of a sudden hear about something that you've never heard about before, and you can't do it because we have these ultra strict rules. So, but I think a timeline, 60 days before or whatever, for the planning process would be reasonable.
As much as possible, the process shouldn't defeat the opportunity for kids where we can.
Mm-hmm.
I move we approve the fundraisers for Mountain House High School.
And I'll second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item D, consider approval of update of the facilities use handbook, parking lot usage.
So there was an item that was tabled. We're bringing it back tonight as an action item to resolve some language around parking lot usage.
I don't have any comments on the parking lot usage. I'm happy with the wording as it is presented. But I did have a suggestion, since our facilities use is, it's something in process, as Board Member Balzerini addressed earlier. We have these processes that we're going through and we're getting approved. I think we need to set a cutoff date at which time we, what did you call it, a rollout of the facilities use handbook?
Awareness.
An awareness, whatever it is. And then after that, any changes that we make, because again, stuff comes up, that we have addendums, because otherwise we're going to have 600 different versions of the facilities use handbook out there. So from X date, and whatever the facilities use committee thinks X is appropriate, that's our published handbook, facilities use handbook. Anything for the rest of the year is an addendum. The committee can still adopt things. But I think we keep changing, and it's going to create more confusion out in Mountain House and with the groups that come in.
I like that a lot. I think that's great. And that was kind of the initial idea, was we used September 1st as the board adopted it. That was and then you're right. But now as this stuff's come up since then, I absolutely agree with that we should do something like that. So, okay.
So maybe your committee can discuss an appropriate date. I think January 1st sounds good, but
Sure. No, that makes a lot of sense.
I
Thank
think
you.
that would be fair and considerate of our users, definitely. Definitely. It's a moving target. I don't think that our users should be penalized for that.
And then any addendums, we would have people's email addresses on their facilities use permits. We can easily email out any addendums to people who are already registered with us. And this way we can diffuse the confusion.
Well, all new applicants would get a copy of the
Yeah.
handbook with said addendum when
Yeah,
they
but
apply
people
anyway.
who are not new could get it emailed or something.
Sure.
So they would
Where
all
the
have it.
changes. Right, right.
I just had a couple of questions about the wording. On the second to the last sentence in the blue part, which is the added language, it says it must be available, and that seems a little bit,
I know that Matthew Balzerine and I were going around about that language, because if a facility organization, an organization was renting the facility, they would be using the parking lot. And sometimes now we're getting requests just for parking lot use only, and we don't want to cross over two organizations using the same parking lot.
I understand the intent of the language. It just seems a little bit ambiguous, or maybe it can be interpreted more than one way. And if it said something like it must have not already been assigned to another use or something like that, it might be more clear what the intent of the language.
What about something like it must not overlap when the building is being used? Because I know if I was an outside organization and I was using the multi-use room at an elementary school, I would expect that my people could park in the parking lot.
Exactly.
So
But-
maybe something to say will not overlap another activity on that campus or,
But we weren't trying to
Something
make
like
it that restrictive because, for example, the Girl Scouts will just use one room. And why not allow the use of the parking lot when the Girl Scouts are just using one room? So it was supposed to try to be a function of, if the larger function or had already utilized the facilities, the parking lot was intended to go with that. And how do you restrict that in the big ones, but not in the little ones when you just have one or two classrooms that are being used and you wouldn't need the full parking lot? So, I just from myself, I mean, it's a little open, but when it says when an organization requests parking lot use only, it must be available. It referring to the parking lot only. You could probably clean it up a little bit more, but realistically speaking, we would be the ones to determine if it was available. And the answer is it's not. And that would be based on the calendar, so.
Or perhaps subject to availability.
I like that better.
The only issue
Yeah.
I have is it makes it sound like the district must make it available. That's a potential interpretation of the language.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying that that's a possible way that.
I did have a question on something on the wording. I misspoke earlier. Alcohol and tobacco are not to be used in the parking lots. All rules apply to parking lots regarding prohibition of tobacco and/or alcohol use. I know we wanted to drive this home, but it's a little redundant.
I thought so too, but we really wanted to, because I had made that comment last time about, it's down in the next paragraph over. So we can remove it and
Yeah.
write it as redundant, and I'd made that comment.
I did see that it was later on the page also.
And just from experience, I think saying it several times is going to be useful.
Hit home.
I'm all in favor of the
I think
redundancy.
redundancy will be okay on this.
Yes.
Right, it was the sixth grade teacher in me wanted to put a red line through it.
No, I'm majorly in favor of the redundancy because I'm
Okay.
having similar experience, well, it's just a parking lot. No, it's a school facility. And once you get inside the sidewalk, you're on our property and the rules apply from here to there. And it's to make it very, very clear, because some of the events we're talking about will be parking lot only, the folks for the bicycle races and that kind of stuff. They want to stage car shows and stuff like that. Well, I'm sorry, but if I'm going to a car show, those guys are going to be drinking. I'm going to be drinking. That's what it is. And if it's on a school campus, they need to know that's not allowed. And redundancy is a great idea from my perspective.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with the forms that are filled out by the organizations using the facilities. Is it bold on those as well, that,
I'll double check. I believe it is mentioned on those, but when we get the software, and we're working on that now and putting all the information, we will also make sure to put it on the cover page. And I agree, I accept that we will not have alcohol, tobacco.
In our facilities, including parking lots.
Yes.
So I think there does need to be that clarifier there, because people think parking lots aren't included.
Right.
Yeah.
and I think any language needs to also be clear that it includes every bit of the facility, the fields, and it does say the sport fields, but any fields or any areas on the campus. So, very well. Further discussion? I don't believe we had a motion, did we?
I'll move we approve the updated facility use handbook, parking lot usage, with the amendment when an organization requests parking lot use only, subject to availability. Yeah.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item E, consider approval of change orders 5 and 6 for Mountain House High School.
We're going to have 3 different people speak to different parts of this. I'm going to ask Wes to come up. He's going to be here to help answer some questions. Alvina's going to give a brief 3-slide overview. But essentially, change order 5 is the list of choose-tos, things that we brought forward outside of the guaranteed maximum price to add to the project. And it needs to have formal approval. Change order 6 is the accumulated change orders throughout the project that after a long negotiation with Turner Construction, with NMR and the district, they need to be approved so that they can be zeroed out, and that's part of the process tonight. So I'll turn this over to Alvina.
I wanted to condense the 52 pages in your board packet into 2. So the first one is change order 5, and some of these items you had already been aware of that were approved. And I made a notation where they were being funded. At the bottom, you can see it's either the food service or the general fund one-time purchase. And those are the list of the items that you had in your board packet. I think the largest one, of course, was the culinary arts classroom for the instructional program there. Change order 6 had quite a few Turner Construction change orders. In all, it ended with a net impact of the contract of 0. So that's very good news. The contractor was in control of the first line item. Then they offered to do a contract reduction of $250,000, and then they did have some GMP savings of $500,000. And then, of course, there was to negotiate the Modesto irrigation, but in all, it ended up with a net impact of 0. It's good news.
It took me over an hour to read all that, and you just did it in 2
I
pages.
Took me 6 months.
So, I mean, Wes is here to answer any questions you may have about the individual line items.
In fairness to Turner, I need to point out that the $658,000 is part NMR, part Turner. It's not fair to say that's all Turner.
Okay, so I do have a couple of questions. What technology was added to the coaches' conference room?
So in its original design, we weren't aware of the process, apparently, that the coaches wanted to be able to like watch field tapes and the game things like that in that facility. We thought they would go to another facility that had a screen or something. And so it was asked when one of the first things when Ben came on board was we added the infrastructure within that room in order to allow that to be installed in the future. We didn't actually put the TV screen in there and stuff, but we just added the infrastructure.
Structure like for projection and stuff?
Yeah, so we put the conduits and the power and stuff where you would need it so you could add it if you decided to go in that way.
Okay. So on 6.019, what revised building names? And I don't remember that coming to the board. Maybe it did.
The original architect named certain buildings in a way that could have been misconstrued by students. So Ben pointed that out again when he came on board. So I will just say there was a building F, which is now a C, and you can figure out why we changed that.
Okay. And I know there's no cost for 6, but
yeah, it wasn't really It's not, it's signage, but when that signage is on every single room, door, in every building, it has that ripple effect. Okay.
Okay. And in 6.030, we deleted doors?
We did.
What kind of doors did we delete?
Extra interior doors. So we weren't sure at the time the original design was done of how building F or C was going to be used. So in that central corridor and central stairway that's kind of between the east and the west half, we had interior doors in the corridor so you could lock off one side of the building and keep the other side open. And it was determined that we didn't need to have those, so we saved some money by deleting those.
Okay, so corridor doors, got it. Okay, now I have. Are furred walls a fashion statement? F-U-R-R-E-D, walls. I know it's not what I have in my mind, but what are furred walls?
So I could give you an example, right? So if you have the structural wall, right, is usually where the window is, right? And on the high school, there's a lot of walls that go in and out to kind of give it the vernacular or the design that it is. So you really have two walls side by side. And the one that's outside that's not structural is just called a furred wall. It's a second wall.
I pictured a lot of like soft kitty cats.
I know, you want to go pet it.
Okay, I'm done. I don't need to answer that last one.
5.09 said added end user scope items.
Yeah, I knew you were going to ask me that, Matt.
I just wonder what it is.
I don't know if the breakout was in that final paperwork that was apparently not in your packet, but what it was is there was a couple of things once the high school staff moved in that wasn't in Turner's contract that they were asked to do. An example of that was the connection of the cubicles to the power and data at the wall, right? You know, the furniture people didn't include that in their bids, so we had Turner do work like that. And then the other thing that I can think of off the top of my head was installing the wrestling mats that are on the wall in the wrestling room. Those were equipment purchased by the district in the one-time purchase thing, but they weren't purchased with installation, so we asked Turner to install them.
Okay.
Further questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
I move that we approve, what is it called? Sorry. I move we approve change orders 5 and 6 for Mountain House High School, right? Because we haven't voted on it, so.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consider approval of amendment number 2, agreement for architectural services for Mountain House High School.
NMR has come forward and asked to reduce their contract by a total of $200,000. This is the official approval of accepting that $200,000 reduction.
I don't think so.
Wait a minute.
This is our expression to the board of our understanding that part of that 658 that's still on the board is ours. So that's how we, in the paperwork side, address that on the fee.
I move we approve amendment number 2 to agreement for architectural services for Mountain House High School.
And I'll second.
Further discussion?
Just our thanks. You've been a good partner, and we appreciate it.
And I appreciate your patience with our questions.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item G, consider approval of overnight field trip request for Bethany School ASB students.
So I'm going to ask Debbie Wingo to come up. Castle's a great organization, and when we're talking about K-12 articulation, it's a great leadership program. This is for an overnight field trip, but since we're talking about Science Olympiad and other great programs. Why don't you tell about Castle a little bit?
Sure. This is the same, we did this last year, we brought the same request, and last year the conference was in Santa Barbara, so it required a lot of logistical organization. I was thrilled to learn it was in San Jose this year, so it's much easier. So this is a program that basically teaches leadership skills to students, and they bring them back and implement them. We have a gangbusters leadership group at Bethany. These kids run a rally once a month. They do our Student of the Month assemblies, and literally I walk in and read names. They do everything else, and it's phenomenal. I'm really proud of these kids. So they would like to attend. Last year we sent either 9 or 10 kids. This year I have 19 that would like to go. Last year we paid half, and then we paid the transportation. This year the class talked about it. ASB is an elective and then an after-school group. They all have indicated that they can pay the fee themselves, which is $325, but we have set aside money for anybody that needs support to get there. So no one would be precluded from attending for lack of funding. And parents have agreed to follow our field trip procedures and transport the kids, since it is just in San Jose. So we're looking for your overnight approval. They're very excited about this. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I would like to move for approval of the overnight field trip request for Bethany School ASB students.
Second.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you.
Hey, Debbie, I just wanted to say thanks for the report, too. It's very detailed. All my questions were answered, so thank you.
I had a question about overnight field trips in general. Might not be for you, maybe for district staff. What is our ratio of students to adults? I couldn't find it.
As a policy?
Yeah. I couldn't find it in a board policy.
I have no idea what the answer is. We'll have to get back to you.
No problem.
Further discussion?
Well, Debbie, what is your ratio going to be?
We sent 2 adults last year, and that was our plan this year. If there is a policy that I'm unaware of, we have parents that will step up.
Okay. Thank you.
I can't believe I don't remember. We talked about this.
I know, but it's been a
long time.
Yeah, but I searched
That
Gannett
was-
and couldn't find it.
That was 07? Yeah. So it's been a while.
Yeah, it's
I
been a
don't
long
think we
time.
have anything written in a policy. It may have been discussion at the board or something, but I couldn't find anything.
Oh, there's a policy.
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't remember it.
Further discussion?
Bless you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item H, consider approval of overnight field trip request for Wicklund Science Olympiad students.
This would be a formal approval from our earlier presentation by Mr. Kieran and for the Science Olympiad overnighter.
I move we approve the Wicklund overnight Science Olympiad trip.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 11, informational and discussion items, Mountain House High School transportation update.
Earlier this year, we went into an agreement with Tracy Unified to provide transportation for students who are attending Mountain House High School outside of our particular area. We originally brought to the board a very expensive 3-year plan with an outside agency. Our dilemma, and this is kind of me telling you where we stand with all that, is there are no good answers to deal with the current population of kids who need transportation. We have 17 kids we're transporting. We looked at outside vendor on a 3-year deal for $74,000 a year with First Student to provide what we thought was going to be a much larger number of kids transportation. Then we went, when we realized that was going to be too expensive and we didn't have enough kids to fulfill that, we went forward with what we called a bustodian idea, to use our current existing bus. But again, 17 kids didn't really meet that need. It seats 55 kids. So we went with this, and we want to thank our friends across the highway in Tracy for supporting us, but the time clock is running out on that. We are in the process, and we'll be bringing forward in December some recommendations. We're reviewing the board policy and the like, but I can tell you that of all the ideas that we have, there are no great answers for 17 kids to transport. So I wanted to put it out in the public dialogue that we need to come up with a plan for the short term, second semester of this year, and really try to create some estimation of kids who will need transportation in the future so we can come with a real plan. I think what I can say to you now is I think we'll have a piecemeal plan this year, but I wanted to bring it forward tonight for discussion, or at least out to the public dialogue, that the transportation plans, we've had many. We spent oodles of hours on this, but we haven't been able to find one that fits that small number of kids.
Thank you. I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate Trustee Lampel for her win yesterday at the polls. She, along with Colin Clements, will be on the board, and I'd also like to thank her for the 2 years of service that she's already given the board, and welcome her along for another 4.
Thank you.
And that moves us to item 12, calendar. Thursday, November 6th is the district spelling bee at the Mountain House High School at 3:30. Monday, November 10th, there's no school. Tuesday, the 11th is Veterans Day. The district facilities and school will be closed. Monday through Friday, November 24th through 28th, there's no school because of the Thanksgiving holiday. Wednesday and through Friday, November 26th through 8th, the district office will be closed. Wednesday, December 10th is the next regularly scheduled governing board meeting at 7 o'clock. And Sunday through Tuesday, December 14th and 16th is the CSBA Educational Conference. Shane?
Wait, if I could say something real quick. I know Dr. Khanna wanted to be here. He must have gotten held up at work. He wanted to thank everyone who supported him and wished the board well in all of their future endeavors.
Thank you.
I move we adjourn to closed session.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are now adjourned to closed session. Thank you, everyone, for attending this evening.